Our Region's Business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You. Welcome to Our Region's Business with your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, the new woman at the helm of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, plus building bridges between our region and the Middle East. But first, an ambitious initiative to develop a shared vision for a world-class transportation system in our region. The newly formed Regional Transportation Alliance is asking organizations across our region to imagine a better transportation system and to contribute their ideas to better connect all of us. The efforts are a response to frustration with the current state of the system and the slow pace of improvement, despite the big investment Pennsylvania is making in its roads and bridges. Chairing the new alliance are Steve Craig, Lawrence County Commissioner and Chair of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, and Brian Heery, President and CEO of Mitsubishi Electric Power Systems in Warrendale. And welcome. Good to see both of you.
Thank you.
For coming.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Yeah, so this is a big, grand initiative. So, Steve, why don't I start with you? It makes sense to tackle this problem 10 county-wide?
It does. Even though we are a large region, we're a region that has 10 county seats. Center is in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. We all share the same need to improve how we get around, how we're connected, not just surface transportation, but our waterways, our transit. We need to think bigger, we need to be aspirational, we need to look at where we can go as a region that isn't financially constrained, because that's been the bugaboo with SPC since the beginning. We can only do plans that we can identify the funding up front to do. And that really limits your ability to imagine what we can become as a region. And if we don't imagine what we can become, other regions are going to pass us by as they imagine what their future could be.
Well, and that's a good point. Brian, you got to see it firsthand. You went with a delegation from the Allegheny Conference to Denver, Colorado last June, and I guess it was an eye-opener for everybody.
It really was on the transportation side, because it was interesting. Denver wrestled with transportation for a couple decades, and then they collectively realized that they needed the buy-in from the region, and I don't recall their structure out there, but they got all the regional counties ultimately to share the same vision and then to share the funding of the network that they're currently building. And it's a very impressive network.
And it's a big build out on all fronts, not just a project here and then a project there. It seems like they're doing it all at the same time.
They are. In fact, it was interesting. They told us that that was one of the keys, was to get a line that went out radially out into the region, get it up, prove that they could build it, prove that they really were going to build it, because I think every region worries about transportation ultimately being city-centric. And that is what we're trying to do with this alliance here also, is gather the input from the entire region and make sure that the vision that we craft does serve the region over the next 30, 40 years.
So this is not just about hub and spokes into downtown Pittsburgh. This is as important to connect the surrounding region as well.
Right. I mean, it's important to get from Newcastle to Katanning and from Waynesburg to Fayette. And there's just, the region's got to function better in terms of being interconnected. And the second lesson, I think, is that we can't wait for folks in Washington or Harrisburg to get this all together. We've got to take control of our own destiny in terms of transportation, and we've got to have a vision, and then we'll take that vision out and we'll sell it to our friends in Harrisburg and Washington, not wait for them to come to us and say, what is it that you're doing? So we're going to be very proactive about this. We're going to get out and we're going to talk to groups all over the 10 counties, and then we're going to coalesce around a vision, and then we're going to move that vision into the funding cycles and hopefully deliver it for the people in the region.
Now, you two are co-chairing the steering committee that actually has public and private sector representatives from each of the 10 counties. So important that this is not just a government thing, that the private sector step up and participates in this process as well?
Oh, I think so, absolutely, because ultimately when you're talking about transportation, you're talking about investment. It's large investment, and businesses tend to get involved when large investment is put on the table. So I think it is important. I also think businesses have a lot to gain. Myself, I'm a manufacturer. Our company is a manufacturer. We have employees that their homes are in all 10 counties. They need to get to our locations. and we have suppliers that are in most of the counties. We need to get product from them and then ultimately ship our product around the world. So transportation, I think, is a big deal from a commerce standpoint, and I think local companies are going to focus on what we do.
Yeah, and the business community really stepped up a couple of years ago all across Pennsylvania to say, hey, look, this is an investment. It is important to think about these kinds of issues through that lens.
I think it is, and I think the community or the business leaders realize that Act 89, as it was passed, provides tremendous support for maintaining what we have, but there's really not a lot there to build the next, and the region needs the next if we're going to grow and be as healthy as we want to be 30, 40, 50 years from now.
He's exactly right, and this is a great time to do it. We've got great leadership in the region. I think we're united as we've never been before in the region. I think business has a lot to contribute to this. It's going to be, somehow, somewhere, in some way, we're going to build things in this region, in this transportation infrastructure push. So that's going to be exciting, and it's hopefully going to be different and transformational, and we're really relying on our surveys to help us build that kind of information base and that groundswell of support. And I think it's going to be an interesting process. It's totally different than what we do at SPC.
Okay.
So,
well, and I heard reach out to organizations,
right.
over 700, I think was the number
right.
I heard the other day.
Right.
So you want pretty much any organization in the region that has an opinion about this to weigh in.
Yep, and they can do that now. Our website is up and running. And we're looking for a lot of input. And every county, all 10 counties, I don't think there's a county that has less than 50 organizations that are going to be surveyed. Mm-hmm. And if somebody out there wants to get involved, we have, what's our address, Bill?
RegionalTransportationAlliance.org. Yes.
All right, good. I knew you had it.
Excellent. Well, it's an exciting project and initiative. Hopefully, great success. Hope it goes well. Hope everybody weighs in and you get the input you need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Steve Craig from Brian Heery from the RegionalTransportationAlliance.org. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And next up, the Pittsburgh Symphony's new CEO and her big plans as the orchestra celebrates its 120th anniversary. Stay with us.